Yo, what is going on, guys? Miguel here. So today we're coming at you with a video on both your opening pitch as well as your first impression, because I have a very strong belief that those are two things that are very well correlated in terms of getting ultimately the business at the doorstep, right? So real quick, we'll jump right into it. My name is Miguel. Of course, you've never been here. I'm a real estate agent who's licensed out in London, Ontario, Canada. So about 2 hours away from Detroit, 2 hours away from Toronto. I'm smack dab in the middle. I've been licensed for exactly 3 years now. Well, a little bit past 30. What is it? I got my license April 2022, so right when the market shifted. I've sold and closed over 100 homes in my career, and yeah, I built everything from door knocking, right? So yeah, so we're gonna get right into it. The reason, and I'm gonna start out with, we'll put in the context as when you're going out door to door. We're just gonna put the context out as from the start of when you're actually out door knocking, right? So once you're on the street, we're gonna put it in that context, because we're gonna start out with not the pitch. We'll get into the pitch in a little bit, but my goal is to give you guys the idea that your not only your pitch, like what you're saying, but really what's most important is your first impression, which is going to tie into the pitch, right? Because your pitch is going to be not even 30 seconds really. Your elevator is really first 10 seconds where you got to really get that relationship solved, right? So I'm going to dive into that and the kind of the NLP, all that stuff that gets involved with that, on why my conversion's so high. So ever since I got the app, if you guys, again, for door to door, if you guys are like with a company or stuff, guys might use something like Sales Rabbit, but for me, I just have a free app. It's called oh my gosh, Harvast. So if you guys want to use Harvast, ever since I've downloaded that app, my numbers are 18% conversion at the door, like in terms of getting people's contact information. And then in my farm area, I have over 10% in my farm areas where more than 10% of these people are in my database getting emails, right? So yeah, obviously I've been fairly effective at the doors, and I get like all my listings that are currently up right now are from me meeting people door to door sales. Okay, so we're gonna start out with again, just assuming you're right on outside, right? How are you dressing, right? So that's gonna be the first thing right off the bat. What are you driving? How are you dressing? So if you can't, again, I'm going to tie this more into real estate, because for vision purposes, like for how you're envisioning the client seeing you, real estate is very important, right? Your first impression definitely matters. Now, if you're watching this and maybe you're like working for like a window company or maybe Weed Man, whatever, right? Like pest control, whatever it might be, solar, right? I know there's a lot of people who do door-to-door solar, right? This part isn't really going to be so much for you, but it's also going to be inclined towards you, right? But however, as a real estate agent, we can dress however we want, right? I could literally go out like this and still convert a bunch of leads, right? Obviously, I'm not working today. It's Sunday. I don't believe in working on a Sunday unless it's an absolute emergency. But when I'm going out door knocking, I'll just give you an idea. So right from the start of me parking my car, I just go park it on, where like the side of a street, right? I kind of just go where it's reasonable, right? Don't go parking number one in front of a no park zone. But anyways, the biggest thing is you want to make sure, you don't need like a super fancy car to be a real estate agent, right? Have a nice car and make sure it's really clean, right? I wash my car. I have like a nice wax, so like I wash my car every other week, right? But some people will believe, especially in the winter, where they get it washed every single day. And for you, I only hand wash my car because I do have a nice car, but like you really, if you're okay going through a machine wash, it might be a good investment for you to get like the yearly pass where you get your car washed every single day, because the first impression as a real estate agent, most of us know, is going to be your car, right? Because when you pull up, people are going to see you. Make sure you have a nice, clean, washed car. Make sure there's no garbage in your car. Like, that's for a different story, but at the end of the day, just make sure you have a nice, presentable, clean car. Okay, that's step number one. The next thing is how are you dressing, right? So again, as a real estate agent, we can wear whatever we want. The challenge is people either get too dressed up when they go to the doors, or maybe they get minimally dressed up, which again, that's not really a bad thing. And I'll be honest, the more minimal dress up you get when you're door knocking, it's actually more in your favor. Why is that? Well, I'll put it this way. When you're going door to door, if you're really dressed up and you look like a salesperson, if you have like a suit and tie, whatever it is on, number one, it's not going to be comfortable, because if you're out for 3 hours, you're literally going to want to kill yourself, right? But if you're going out, when you knock on the door and someone sees you wearing like a suit and tie, or you have like a name tag, stuff like that, you're immediately boxed, like right off the bat for your first impression, you're immediately boxed in as a salesperson, right? So people are going to see you at the Ring camera or whatever it might be, or through your door or through their window, and be like, okay, this guy's a salesperson. What does this guy have to offer? So I'll give you guys an idea of what I dress in. So basically, I'm not wearing it right now, right? But I'm a guy, so I have like basically just three outfits like that are all the same t-shirts, same pants. So I wear like a Legends of London, like I have 3 pairs of Legend of London, like a nice fitted black t-shirt, Legend of London. If you guys ever need like a really good fitted plain t-shirt, really good shirts, I highly recommend you just order it from their website. So it's just like a black Legend of London t-shirt, just a nice plain black t-shirt, and then I have a pair of black Lululemon Surge joggers, right, that look professional. I honestly wear them to all my listing appointments and they get compliments all the time, right? And then I just have a really nice pair of shoes, right? I personally believe in investing a good amount of money into my shoes because I do believe that your shoes are about 85–90% of your outfit, because if they're not good, they're gonna just ruin everything, right? The other side of it too is you want nice shoes because you want to make sure, or you want comfortable shoes and nice shoes because you're gonna be walking around for 3 hours at a minimum, right? So yeah, so basically I just wear some nice shoes because people can always look at my shoes and be like, oh, this guy, I like your shoes, right? They're really white, or like they're clean, right? Because that gives the person the idea this guy's clean, this guy's got like a little bit of flair to him. My outfit speaks me, right? Because I have my black, right? Just plain casual, right? It's still professional, right? But it's like a casual professional. So people are like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. I can talk to him, right? But then I have my shoes that kind of create a bit of a flair. It kind of creates that like bite in the rest of my outfit, right? So basically, to kind of summarize it, right, just like have something that kind of sets you apart, but also doesn't box you into the idea that you're a salesperson, right? You do not want to give the prospect right out the gates that you are a salesperson, right? You want to give them that sense of curiosity where they're actually comfortable enough to answer the door, right? The reverse is if you don't show up, if you show up a little bit too casual, like if you show up like this or you're like raggedy clothes, then they might think you're some sketchy guy trying to get like rob their house or something, right? So moral of the story is just have casual professional, right? Just show up casual professional. You don't need a name tag. You don't need like a clipboard with you. Do not carry a clipboard. Just have like flyer. I keep my flyers in my pocket so that way they don't even see that I have anything, right? The point is, do not have yourself boxed as a salesperson, A, and B, do not show up where you look like a homeless person that's going to rob your house, okay? So that's that. And then, again, the bonus is, if you're like me, just have like a little bit of a flair, and I also have my white ball cap on. Everyone kind of knows me as someone who wears a white cap, especially if I go to realtor events. My goal at one point is I want everyone to, my team, I want it to be called like the White Cappers or something like that, where everyone on my team has a white hat and everyone just knows when they see a white hat, they see me, right? So again, tie in like a branding aspect that's unique to you, and then casual professional. That is gonna be the best thing at the door. And then don't have a name tag, don't have a clipboard, keep your flyers in your pocket. Make sure you have material, but keep your flyers in your pocket. That's for a different story. But again, casual professional, have something that brands you and stands out, okay? So that's really tying into your first impression, right? Your car, and then how you're dressing, right? The other side of it too is when you're walking, right? Chest up, just walk like normal speed, right? Be smiling, like always. Don't be on your phone, right? Just only be on your phone when you're having to log like the person you just met, right? Keep your phone on do not disturb. Do not be on your phone unless you have to take a phone call, kind of thing. But just be positive, chest up, nice walk. There you go, right? So now that's really all you got to know for when it comes to the first impression. The pitch. We're going to get into the pitch right now, okay? So the pitch starts right when you knock on the door, okay? So I'm going to break it down step by step. So we're going to go through how you're going to knock, right? / ring the bell, how far you're going to stand back, and then your response. So when they do open the door, your response is your body along with your body side with your body position, and then what's going to be your opening pitch, right? So those are going to be the 4 things we're going to cover. So let's start out with the knock. So you're going to walk up again. When you walk up to the door, always have this in your mind that someone's going to be watching you, right? That they're going to be watching from your Ring doorbell, because most of the neighborhood's going to have an eye on you, right? I remember when I first started door knocking, there was someone in Talbot Village in a higher price point neighborhood that posted a photo of me, and they're like, who is this guy? And a bunch of people commented like, oh, that's a realtor guy. Like I actually use this guy, right? So it's kind of funny, but just for context, keep that in mind. People are always going to be watching you. So when you walk up to their door, just keep in mind you're always being watched, right? Just have that in the back of your mind. Be smiling, like just be professional, right? Don't be talking to yourself, right? So just basically knock on the door. So the knock's going to be something like this. This is how I do it, right? So the knock sounds like this. It's literally my knock every single time. Now, I don't just knock, because if they have a doorbell and a ring, let's say they have a doorbell and a ring, I'll do all 3, right? I'll doorbell, ring, and knock on the door. The reason why you always want to for sure knock on the door, because sometimes they don't have a ring or anything, they don't have anything, you just knock on the door. But the reason why you always want to knock on the door is because their doorbell might not be working, right? I've done it before where I made the mistake a couple times where I rang their doorbell and someone literally opened the door because they're like, do you need something? And they had no clue that I was actually knocking on their door, right? So you ring their doorbell, any sort of doorbell they have, because you don't know which one works, and then you knock on the door just like this. The reason why I have a bit of a unique knock is because I want people to get curious, right? My whole sense of my first impression is the curiosity, right? It's mixing in with my pitch, because once I have them curious enough, curiosity kills the cat, right? So they're going to open the door and be like, who is this guy? And then if I'm professional and I'm sharp, they're going to be very interested. And that is why I'm converting on a high level, okay? So again, curious. You just want to make sure they're curious, right? So I knock on the door, they're like, and then after I knock on the door and I've rang their doorbell, I step back 6 feet, okay? So you can kind of get an idea of like how much 6 feet is, right? If you guys are really like high analytical, go up to, I don't know, the barbecue or like a door you have, right? Or a wall, measure 6 feet, stand back, and that way you at least get a good idea of how far back 6 feet is, right? So give it a knock, step back 6 feet. If you want good context, just 2 decent sized step backs, or if they have a porch, usually in most cases on average sized porches, I'll step back where like my 1 foot is still on their porch and my other one is leaning on their the step that's underneath, right? And usually the way when I do it, I'm kind of just like leaning a little bit like sideways to where I'm not like fully chest onto the person, right? So there's something I heard, I think it was from Brian Casella. If you guys watch Brian Casella, the guy's like the OG on real estate door knocking, right? That's where I learned a lot of my tactics from. But basically, when you knock on the door and you step back with women generally, if you're like facing forwards, like chest out, they're a little bit more responsive to that. With guys, because guys are more like, what do you want kind of thing, right? When you go like this, like you have you're standing facing straight to them, it's a little bit more of an offensive, right? So you kind of like go a little bit back, and on top of that too is when you're a little bit sideways, it's already giving them the perception that you're going to be leaving soon, right? You're going to get going in a sec, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit, right? But again, most of the time, if there's a porch and I'm able to just kind of put my foot back, I just want to just be relaxed, right? The point is just be relaxed. Don't be confrontational. Don't get nervous. Relax, okay? So just whatever works best for you. But again, that's something cool I heard and it is true, where if you have a woman, they're a little bit more okay with you just being like straight on with them versus a guy who's a bit more confrontational, right? Because you just want to kind of be sideways, right? So they're getting the idea that, oh, this guy's in my zone. They're already a bit defensive because you're in their zone, right? You're just giving them the feeling that you're just comfort, right? So give them the idea that you're comfortable, right? Don't get too tense. So again, knock on the door. Or if they have a Ring doorbell, right, you're going to go ring. And you're going to go back 2 decent sized steps, be back 6 feet. And then they're going to open the door, okay? So you're already back. They're going to say hello. You're going to say hello. If they say hi, you say hi. They say yes, may I help you? You say yes, potentially. Do you guys notice what I'm doing? I'm mirroring and matching. So if they're saying hello, I say hello. If they say hello, I'm saying hello. It's the exact same pitch. Now keep in mind, if they're saying something like, can I help you? I'm not going to say, can I help you? Obviously, right? I'm going to say yes, potentially, right? They're same upswing and downswing, right? I'm hitting it the same, but it's already sparking that curiosity. Do you get the theme here? They're already getting familiar with who I am and they're comfortable, right? So again, mirror and match right away. Whatever they say, if they're like, yeah, what do you want? Just be like, yeah, I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. Match them. Okay, just match them, because keep in mind, don't get offended by their initial response, because you have no idea what's going behind that door, right? They could have just had a death in the family. I have experienced that like a few times where someone literally just died that same day I've been there. Just keep in mind, you have no idea what's going on the other side of the door, right? So just relax, respond in a professional manner, but again, mirror and match them as much as you possibly can, right? So let's role play it a bit, right? So we'll go into the pitch here, okay? Because this is where I can kind of dissect the pitch. So again, mirroring, matching is going to be that third step. So here's going to be the pitch, right? They say, so here it is. I'm just going to role play it, okay? Let's pretend they have 3 doorbells, or 2 doorbells and the door, okay? So ring, ring. Let's step back. Answers, hello, hello. They say hello, hello, hello. My name's Miguel. I'm a local realtor. I'm from around the area, right? I'm here in London with Keller Williams. You must be the homeowner. Yes? Perfect. We never spoke before? Amazing. Well, hey, I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. I'm actually going to get going here in just a second. The real estate market's seeing a lot of different differences taking place. This neighborhood in particular is actually doing fairly well. I don't know if you've been noticing, but more homes are selling than actually listing. Have you noticed that? Yeah, there's actually a sale that just happened around the corner, 123 Main Street. They did pretty well. They had a few offers, and they actually sold for $800,000. Pretty good, right? And typically what we know is that when one home sells, another one tends to follow after that. So I'm just curious if you yourself, regardless, had any plans to buy, invest, or sell your home in the near future, okay? So what I just described to you guys, so off script, right? So what I just described to you guys was a circle prospecting script, right? So literally, I just thought of that on the fly, right? But I've just done it so much where you can just kind of come up with something on the fly, and I'll just put it as simple as this. So let's relay it a bit, and then I'm going to dissect the script a little bit, okay? So we'll do it again, right? Knock or ring the door, 2 doorbells, right? Take 2 steps back. Hello, my name's Miguel. I'm a real estate agent. I'm from around the area, right? I'm here in London with Keller Williams. You must be the homeowner, yes? Perfect. We never spoke before? No? Amazing. Well, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Miguel. What was your name? Perfect. Yeah. So hey, John, I don't want to take up a lot of your time. A lot of stuff's moving in the market at this time, as you're probably aware, and I'm just curious, regardless of what's taking place, if you yourself had any plans to buy, invest, or maybe sell this lovely home in the near future. Okay, that's it. So it can be as simple as that, right? I'm basically just trying to break the ice, get them to ask the question, because once get them to answer that question, because once I've asked them if they need to buy, invest, or sell, that's really all my main goal is, because I'm hitting all this possible cylinders, right? I'm not looking for a tenant. I personally don't do leases, right? But basically, they're going to respond with, okay, yeah, maybe I do have plans, or maybe I don't. It opens a whole can of worms, right? I guess the one thing, just kind of off script, the one thing I maybe didn't just ask, I'm just kind of thinking about it, is you must be the homeowner, yes? Right? So we'll kind of role play that one more time just so you guys, but because I usually want to know if it's the homeowner or not, right? But so let's roll it back. So you step back. Hello, my name's Miguel. I'm a realtor from around the area, right? I'm here in London with Keller Williams. You must be the homeowner, yes? Perfect. We never spoke before? Amazing. So I think now that I'm going through it, I think I did mention that you must be the homeowner. It's a little bit hot. I'm getting a little bit tired, but anyways, that's the script. So I'm going to dissect it a little bit. So let's go through the script, right? So again, the opening pitch, right? My response, I'm mirroring and matching. And then when I say you must be the homeowner, right, I'm clearing up the air. I want to make sure if they're the homeowner or not, because if they're not the homeowner, I still want to ask them the question if they want to buy or invest in real estate. And by the way, I do get a lot of buyers from knocking on the door, right? Now, sometimes they might get a little bit defensive. Well, why is that important, right? And I'll say kind of similar mirror matching, right? I'll say, yeah, great question. You know, the reason I am asking is because if there is plans to make a move, I do need the answer from the owner. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if you don't mind me, is the owner around, or are you the owner? Right? Just be soft with it, right? Don't be offensive, right? Just be soft taken with it and just get into it. But the reason why I want to ask if it's the owner, by the way, you don't get that response too often unless it's some arrogant kid, right? It's not even the owner, right? But really, I rarely get that response. But basically, you want to ask that just to make sure you know who you're talking to, right? And then the reason why I say I'm from around the area, right? I'm not directly saying I'm from the neighborhood. However, I've lived in London my whole life, my city, right? And I know the area very well. So I have good market knowledge, and I can say, hey, I'm from around the area. Regardless, you can still say that whether you're from the area or not, because at the end of the day, you service that neighborhood. Make sense? Yeah. So you want to give them that sense of familiarity, because right away they're realizing you as a local expert, right? That's what you're trying to get into their mind, right? And then after, say, I have a pause when I say that so they can kind of think of that in their head, right? The next portion of that is when I ask if we ever spoke before, it really helps push that sense of familiarity, because now they're just like, oh, no, I don't think I've seen you before. But a lot of the time people see my Instagram video stuff, so it's kind of like a little bit like, oh, familiarity, right? I'm trying to build a sense of curiosity and familiarity right within that first 10 seconds, if you guys haven't realized, right? So basically, after I get that, I'm going to my pitch, right? Your pitch can be circle prospecting. It could be as simple as, and again, well, I don't really follow a script. It's basically just simple as just curious if you had any plans to buy, invest, or sell. Once you ask that question, I've already built enough familiarity and curiosity within that pitch and my first impression that I can really just go to the question, well, hey, I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. Actually, before I jump in, the reason why I say I'm not going to take up a lot of your time is because I'm giving them a false time constraint. So that tells them that I'm going to be going in a sec, but I could be there for half an hour, right? I've actually signed listings right on someone's doorstep twice, right? It happens. So yeah, the false time constraint is when I'm saying I'm not going to take up a lot of your time and I'm already going this way, right? But then when I ask, is there, just curious if there's any plans for you to buy, invest, or sell, right? I can just go right for the jugular because I've already created the false time constraint. I've already created the curiosity and the sense of familiarity, right? So that's a script. I'm not going to go into the whole script, obviously. That's just the pitch, but the script can be for another video. But anyways, that's really what my main goal is, right? It's just to create curiosity, familiarity, and the false time constraint. Once I've got those 3 covered, I can just go for the jugular, right? So basically, that's a pretty lengthy video. I went almost 20 minutes. I just spoke my mind, but I hope that helps, guys. Again, use this, whether you're in door-to-door sales or just a realtor, this is all going to be pretty you can kind of tie this in if you're in a different door-to-door sales, but as a real estate agent, it's going to be very helpful. Again, I convert almost 20% of my leads, or of the people I'm talking with in the area. If I'm in higher turnover area, it's more like 25% conversion. Okay, so this obviously works. I built my whole business this way. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Hope you guys stay for the whole time, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, peace.